It's Jekyll and Hyde, not as we know it. It's set in the 1930s. We begin not in England, but then we come to London very quickly. And there is this secret, dark world of monsters and espionage that I get thrown into. So as well as discovering my own demons and what my family history is, I'm also thrown into this crazy world of monsters and ghouls.
Is it quite an action-packed adventure?
Yeah, very much so. I think at least once or twice each episode you get a good old fight, and it certainly keeps the pace up. It's not. I was a little bit concerned at the beginning that it might be gratuitous, but it's not at all. The violence and the action in it is totally based in this liberated character that you're waiting to see him burst out, and when he does, things tend to happen and get smashed.
Did they have you doing anything unusual or strange?
What, in the action things?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my second week in, I was jumping onto a moving train in Sri Lanka, so that was quite amazing. And the fights were I'd never done a big film set fight like that, and to be able to do them myself, so it was quite, people running at me and me just sort of backhanding them and them flying into the air and people going, right, that's the moment they explode, so we're going to CGI that, and you go, oh, that's quite bizarre and amazing.
Was there a lot of green screen?
Yeah, there is. Amazingly, I mean, we took it to places, there's a lot of location shoots, so as much as possible the green screen wasn't, but obviously to make London look 1930s, we need that. And the CGI, Hayden is one of the SFX guys, and he was on set. Either him or a member of his team was on set all the time, talking us through what something might look like. So, yeah, there is a lot of it, but it's totally sort of embedded in, so it's not thrown on top.
Will we be seeing a lot of iconic literary monsters that we recognise?
Yeah, I mean, something Charlie said was he's taken a lot of ideas from classic Gothic horror and put his spin on it, which is what he's done for this whole show, so it's quite apt, really. But there are lots of, some of the monsters, which I won't say, but they're... I did research into them and they're all there, so Charlie has taken monsters that do exist, have existed throughout history, different places all over the world. He's taken these monsters, so there's some sort of Egyptian things, and then there's these old English folklores, and then you have Charlie's version of a vampire, Charlie's version of Frankenstein, Charlie's version of a werewolf, and they're not what they seem.
What was your approach to playing two sides of one person?
Originally it started out me just looking at them very much as two completely different people, which I think works quite well, really, because that's how Jekyll sees it, and Hyde as well. They talk about this, they keep referring to he, so Hyde will say he did this, Jekyll will say he did that. And so that was just very much taking two different characters. Jekyll, really, I got to respond on the day, so it's quite on centre for me. Hyde took a lot more work to come up with, and there was lots of performances that I'd taken bits from literature, what Charlie's written himself, and then just a bit of improvisation. Came up with that. But as the series progressed, it became really, what the series was looking at was the connection between the two, and Jekyll understanding and Hyde understanding that they are the same person, they're part of the same person, and what that means. So actually it became looking at two sides of a same coin, really.
Is there a physical change that helps the process?
Yeah, the crew had to put up with quite a lot of my weird thing for getting into Hyde. There is quite a big physical thing for me, just in the playing of it, feeling quite liberated. I use a slightly different voice, so the cast and crew had to put up with me sort of being in the corner of the room doing some quite odd things, which I won't go into, to get into that. Well, I'm not going to do it because it's so embarrassing. There was the point when there's an actor called Malachi who's in it, and he did some similar things to get into character, and we were doing this scene, just the two of us, and I looked up at one of the camera operators, and he was just going, my God, these actors, because Malachi was doing some sort of voice warm-up, and then I was doing this sort of throat clearing thing to get into the Hyde, and we just looked like two very odd people.
So two personalities, there's two girlfriends as well. How does that
work? Well, just in the way that they're two different people, and being drawn to these two different... the crossover, again, is very interesting and fun to play, where, for example, Jekyll has to meet Hyde's love interest, and Hyde meets Jekylls, and what that does. But again, brilliantly, the girls are never what they seem, so it's not like they're just Jekyll's girlfriend, Hyde's girlfriend. They've got their own secrets and agendas. So